Okay, back to the coronavirus and an update. The number of confirmed cases jumped by 15,000 overnight to a total of now more than 60,000, partly because the Wuhan province, which is at the heart of the outbreak, is using a diagnostic method that can identify the virus faster, which on face value is the faster you do it. I want the info, although it wasn't good news in terms of cases. Eunice Yoon joins us now with more. Fill us in, Eunice.
Yeah, that's right, Joe. So Hubei province, which is the epicenter of the outbreak, is now changing the way that it confirms its cases. So it has two groups, one that it calls confirmed, and those people are confirmed with a test kit. And then the other group are people who are clinically diagnosed. So they are confirmed by using a CT scan. So because of that new change in methodology, we're seeing this jump in the numbers. And it looks as though the aim of it all is to be able to get patients treatment as well as in quarantine faster. But there's still a lot of people who have been doubting the numbers and saying that China is changing its procedures in order to obscure the figures. And one of the reasons why that's out there is because people who are asymptomatic, so don't show any symptoms, are not counted as confirmed cases. So while all these numbers are going up, there are places like the big cities here in Beijing that are hunkering down and putting in place further restrictions. This is what I found out.
For many in Beijing, this is becoming a common sight. Disinfection stations are popping up at apartment buildings all over the city. These makeshift stations are meant to sanitize people's clothing and their shoes as they enter. Security say they spray disinfectant inside every 2 to 3 hours. Property managers are working on ways to disinfect cars, too. Until then, drivers come to places like this. Car washes now disinfect your car for free. But don't expect anyone to clean the inside of your car. The staff here are just as nervous as anyone else about catching the virus, which is why the car wash sanitizes your vehicle before you get in. China's top officials have said they see positive changes in their effort to contain the outbreak. They've put up slogans to encourage the public. Unite, be confident, it reads, prevent and control scientifically. Yet residential compounds are highly wary of outsiders. Security at my apartment building are wearing hazmat suits. Now I have to get my temperature checked, register a government ID, show my building security pass, and my house key to the officers. And that's just to get into my own home.
And China wants to show that it's handling the situation very carefully and moving things forward. They actually sacked 2 local officials in the outbreak zone. Guys?
Eunice, can I just ask you, what would happen if they found that you had a temperature as you were trying to get into your apartment building?
Well, it still varies from place to place, but for a lot of places, you do have to go to the hospital. And so there have been some situations where people have had a temperature, and then the authorities there, the security officers, wanted to make sure that you get to the hospital, and then people have run off, and then they've been collected and taken to the hospital. So there's just a lot of inconsistency in the way the authorities are approaching this.
Eunice, it's now COVID-19. Are people calling it? Am I pronouncing that right? COVID-19 is the name.
Yeah, that's right.
That's the area. I guess Corona is CO, and then V is the virus, and 19. The way that it actually came about, is there scuttlebutt over there on whether it was naturally occurring, or on whether maybe there was? SARS has been in a lab, and there are these containment labs, and SARS has gotten out a few times. That's documented already. Is there scuttlebutt?
Yeah.
Is there what's the current thinking on whether this was natural or some type of bioengineered strain that got out?
I think the vast majority of people still believe that it is that it originated from the wet market because if you go into wet markets in China, and I presume that the one in Wuhan is the same, you do have a lot of different animals that are in very close quarters with people. It's not exactly the cleanest environment. So that is the vast majority of people believe that. But as you said, there are plenty of theories out there that perhaps because Wuhan does have a lab there, and it's a P4 lab, and there was a biochemical weapons expert who went from the Chinese military, who's there now, who was there to look at some of these testing kits and to try to expedite the availability of these testing kits. That because she is there, that maybe this was man-made, and there's a theory that it could have been a part of a bioweapons program. But that's just theory. And I also heard a counter theory, which is that this is the Americans that have created this, and that the reason for that is because the Americans want to make money off of the Chinese by creating a problem here and then creating a solution in the form of a vaccine or a treatment. So there are a lot of different, there's just a lot of stuff going on there.
They fired the one individual, and then they did install this she's the major general in the military, and she is a chief bioweapons expert. I don't know. If they don't want us to think that, I don't know why they're doing things that just sort of, I don't know, it just feeds the...
Well, Chen Wei, her name is Chen Wei, and she actually has a lot of experience with SARS.
So it doesn't necessarily mean
she's known as somebody who has the experience, during the SARS outbreak in 2002, so... Right. It doesn't necessarily mean anything, but it's difficult to know and we'll probably never get to the bottom of it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I hope everything works out fine and it's gone in a few months, but this has got all the makings of a heck of a novel or a Ken Follett or a movie or something. Just all the different components down the road. And I think it's probably already been written. These have been worries that something could get out of a P4 lab. I was in a P2 lab, actually, when I was in grad school. And that was a pretty high level of containment. P3, you'd walk by there and they'd have those like little things, the signs there. Avoid those. P4 would not be around on just a normal university campus usually. Anyway, thanks, Eunice.